three. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Everybody, welcome to an evening edition of Teaching Crypto. This is AZcrypto with MrFOMO. Please hit that like, that subscribe, bell notification. Super chats in the store are open as we make our way towards 2,000 subs. Any way you could help, we greatly appreciate. Big time Bitcoin breakout this afternoon, MrFOMO, as we get above 44. We've talked about that being an important area. So if we can hold here at 44 over the next 72 hours, that would be a major move. Did it take you by surprise when you saw Bitcoin breakout above 44K today?
It did. I am still, like we talked about, I'm still expecting to see Bitcoin fall down again before we get to a little bit of an explosive month out from the halving. So I think here at the end of this month, middle to end of this month is what I was calling for. I still see us going back down. So I think that there is still, and one of the reasons why I still see us going back down is that the miners are selling a lot. Miner outflow is huge right now. You have a lot of, especially the big miners that are selling in preparation for the halving event. They're going to upgrade their infrastructure to make sure that they can keep up with their profits. So right now you see a lot of these ones selling so that they can, like I said, upgrade and make their systems and make their businesses a little bit stronger, at least twice as strong as they are right now. And hopefully some of them were prepping way before now, but it still seems like that's what they're working on. So I still see some of this going down, but anything can happen in crypto.
Well, what happened today is this. Some of the, ETF applications got switched up and changed. They didn't shut them down. So that led to speculation that the ETH ETF for May 23rd is a lot more than realistic. I personally, right now, I'm saying it's not going to happen. However, I've maintained that the SEC is not going to shut it down until the very last moment. And so if what you saw today is you had Michael Saylor in the last 48 hours buying Bitcoin. That always helps. I always say we need someone besides Michael Saylor, another billionaire, to come in and make a huge purchase, but still never a bad thing. And then you have this ETH ETF news, and you saw ETH. If you've been, we talked about making sure you had exposure to ETH. This was a good day for you. So hopefully, if you haven't jumped on that bandwagon, you're going to, like I said, not financial advice, but if you don't have ETH to sell in March and April, and maybe even as late as early May, you're going to be hurting, because I think it's an easy opportunity. And so hopefully you took us up on that, about 10 days ago when we brought that up. But ETH did very well today. And so, yeah, I'm with you. However, Mr. FOMO, the thing is, the Super Bowl is coming up Sunday night. You're going to see some advertising. And I am open to, I'm with you. I do think we're going to one more red period, not very long at all. However, if this ETH ETF news changes things, like it did, the holiday hole got completely switched around because of the ETF news. If this ETH
January was actually still only 1.6 in the green, 1.6%. That's it.
Well, I mean, end of December, we didn't have that huge dump. That's
Right.
That's the thing. And so I think you got to be open-minded. You got to plan both ways.
Well,
Now,
I think that I'm starting to become a little bit more open-minded. There's certainly a lot of reason to think that Bitcoin could shoot through the roof on this one. But I'm just sticking to my guns because of the history of it. But it's certainly, like Kathy Wood the other day was talking about how Bitcoin is being traded now for gold, and people were because of the frictionless nature of the ETF, people were taking advantage of or people were switching out from gold to Bitcoin now. And she also mentioned that 15 million of the what is it, 15 million of the 19.5 million circulating supply of BTC hasn't moved in the last like 160 days.
That's amazing.
And so there are a lot of reasons to be bullish on Bitcoin. But if you look at the regional banking index, the last time that imploded was March of 23. This is something Kathy Wood was talking about as well. That's acting up now as well. Bitcoin shot through the roof. I think it was close to 40% at that time. So you could potentially see another huge bump based on things like that. So there are reasons to think that Bitcoin could, have a bit of a green month here where I was calling for a red month. But I'm still sticking to my guns based on history and the fact that the miners are selling and they're going to keep selling. Keep selling until we get to that halving event and they can update their structure.
Well, I don't know if you want to post what Bobby Digital just said, but he's definitely here for the entertainment tonight. Now, here's the thing. I'm with you, but I'm also not with you. I'm really on the fence here because the ETF changes everything, right? And I do think that the big boys want to accumulate a little bit more. So you are probably right. However, all it takes is one bit of huge positive news momentum to just get us through. And we're not that far from a month away from the halving, right? Not at all. No, Bobby, we know you're high on life, as he writes in the chat there. That's the thing. End of April, Mr. FOMO, is not that far away. February is a short month, 28 days. It's February 7th, right? And so we're getting closer and closer. And so I am with you. But, man, I think this dip that you're talking about is going to be pretty short. You're talking about
I would
weeks
agree.
at most. Weeks at most, not months, weeks.
Yeah, and I would say maybe a week if you're really going to get down to it. I don't think you're going to have a lot of time to take advantage of that dip when it happens. I'm not calling for an extended dip at all. What I'm saying is that I think we could bottom out again. We could see somewhere close to 38, 39. Again, that's a huge level of support. So I could see us bouncing very easily from there. But
Now,
like you said, there's a lot of reason to think that we don't even do that. But
speaking of bouncing back, Mr. FOMO, what about Solana? All the worry, all of the crazy posts. I mean, it did go out for 5 hours, but man, it goes down from 96 to 94, bounces back today at 101 right now as we go live on the air. And this has happened to Solana before, let's be honest. But there's so much activity on there. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but really it's not that big of a deal because there are other projects that have far less going on that would, you know what I mean? I'd rather be in Solana's situation where people are actually using it in the crypto community versus some of these other projects where no one barely knows it still exists. Okay, you're running, but no one's doing anything on it, right? It's like if you throw a party and no one shows up, is it really a party? And then if you throw a party and it gets too loud, well, yeah, you're in trouble, but at least there's people there. That's kind of
right, but at least it was a banger of a party, right?
Yeah.
I would agree with you on this one. And it looks like the market reacted the same way you're reacting. The market reacted in a way that says, yeah, it went down, but it's because it's being used. So we're going to keep going with Solana. And so I'm not surprised that, one, that it happened like you said, but two, that the market responded by sticking with Solana. When it dipped a little bit, I bought a little, but it's looking more and more like that dip we were hoping for into the 70s is a real pipe dream.
70s was a pipe dream. 80s, it looked like it was on its way. And if you get that Bitcoin dip you're talking about, so if you don't know, there is huge Bitcoin support between 40 and 42. And if that gets broken, now your position, and I also agree, 39, 38 is still possible. That could happen, but I just don't see Bitcoin staying below 40 for very long. And that's the thing. You're right. Forget about weeks. This red period you're talking about could be days. I just
it
think
could be a flash. It's not something that I see happening for a long time, but I would say that it would be a little bit extended, say maybe a week, a little bit under a week. just to shake the trees a little bit, get out the make sure we only have the true believers still hanging around, and then we're off to the races before that halving event.
How long, and I know you hate to do this, but we're doing a show here. we gotta make our viewers happy. How long before Solana gets above 200 for you? I'll tell you, I want to hear your thoughts. Because you're more conservative than I am on Solana, but how long before it hits 200? And I'll tell you a date that I have in mind. Maybe it'll blow you away, maybe it won't.
If it's gonna go there, I'd say probably somewhere after the turn of the year, somewhere 2025 is
no, really over 200. That's wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now.
Next month,
March 23rd is what I'm looking at.
March 23rd.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I think we're going to get that dip you're talking about, and I think Solana is going to recover super, super hard. Now, could have egg on my face. It would have been the first time, but I definitely think
that's a bold prediction. You're talking about 100% in a little bit over a month.
Well,
right?
It's like a month, right? I'm talking about 6 to 7 weeks. 6 to 7 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll push back. Maybe I think late March, but definitely. How about this? Definitely by our halving for sure. 200. Hold me to that at least. Oh, hold me to that. Bobby Digital is bringing
throwing things in there. I keep trying to put him on. I don't know.
We need him as a third host tonight. He really
I know, right?
Thumbs up, Bobby. Help us out, Bobby. But seriously, Mr. FOMO, you brought as my Solana prediction by March or April. I'm gonna hold back a little bit and move it back to April. Okay. But here's the thing about being crazy. When we do get full bull run, these coins do a 2x in 3 to 5 days. I mean, we've been so used to the slow rise, that we haven't been able to think about. It wasn't that long ago. You buy Multiverse X on a Sunday, and on a Friday, you had already been up 90%. Hopefully, those days for all of us are coming back. But anyways, Mr. FOMO, you got some. We got a big Friday show coming, but you got some exciting deep dives that you might be getting into. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about that?
Yeah, we've got one coming up on Muse, which is one we've talked about before, but I've looked a little bit further into it. I really like what they're doing. You're able to tokenize any NFT. I think that's an ERC20. You receive tokens called LP tokens out of that, and then you're able to stake those in their farm tab to get Muse tokens. But it's about tokenization of NFTs, and they already have quite a bit of traffic on there for a project that only has a $7 million market cap. So we're going to take a little bit of a deeper look at it this weekend and see what we can come up with.
And that one is such a low market cap. I think that's an amazing entry. If your dip does, well, my dip too, I agree with you, does happen. You could have a couple days, maybe a week at most, to pick up. If you haven't already done so, your Muse back. But guys, keep it here, keep it locked and loaded. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button, bell.
And before we go, let's just mention two more things. For those of you still dealing with those bankruptcies, Terraform Labs CFO Han Chang-jun was extradited to South Korea. Do Kwon is up next. They both could be looking at life in prison. That's a good sign. For those of us in Voyager, this is a little bit upsetting to see FTX selling their 8% stake in an AR startup called Anthropic. That allows FTX to sell at an optimal time. They've asked the judge to allow them to do this. And the sale will benefit the stakeholders. And I'm wondering, why didn't Voyager invest in some of these, in some companies, instead of just loaning out money in high interest to sketchy companies? And so this was upsetting to me, but I'm glad to see FTX, the people who are closing out FTX, doing right by the stakeholders. And we're going to have to get a hold of Paul Hage again and see
no update yet. No update
doing
yet.
right by us. So
you gotta do better. You can't do an update. Can't do an update every 3 to 6 months. Unacceptable. So we'll get on that for you, Voyager people. If you're a Celsius person and you finally got some funds back today, congratulations. But for Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto, guys. Keep it locked in here. Help us spread the word. and have a great evening.
See ya.